Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. This is episode 116 of the Workshop Podcast, and today is May 21st, 2022. And this is part 2 of the interview I did with Angery American Chris Weatherman, author of the Going Home book series. I hyped it up yesterday, so you guys are here. You've already listened to the first half. It's going to be good. I hope you enjoy it. We do a round robin, kind of fast as I can throw them at him, questions, a whole bunch of different ones from the audience in this part. I hope you really enjoy it. So again, Sunday night, I have Rob coming up, and he is going to talk about prepping with special needs family members. Also, if you're not part of the Telegram group, how come? Come by, join us, become part of the community. We beat around business ideas, we help each other out, we encourage, we brag, everything. Plus, we ask questions about home maintenance and preparedness and the whole works. And drop by toolmantim.shop if you're wondering if there's ever been a piece of gear that I've used, that I've recommended, or that I don't recommend. You'll see over 250 pieces of gear there. So start there, and if you don't find anything, reach out to me. Maybe I haven't added it yet. And today's tool is the Stanley folding 1-inch pocket chisel. That is in my everyday carry toolbox. I love that thing. It's awesome. $18.82 on Amazon right at the moment. The thing is deadly good as long as you keep an edge on it. And the best part about it is the handle splits apart, kind of like a folding, I don't know, like a switchblade or butterfly knife would be closer to it. Comes down and protects the point. So two things: it doesn't bite you when you grab it in your toolbox, and it protects the edge from getting beat up in there. So with that, guys, let's take a minute, dive in, and you guys check out part number 2 of my interview with the Angery American Chris Weatherman.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say hi to Mel too there. So, and I never asked you, but how is Bit?
She's getting better.
Okay.
She's doing well right now. She's
Good.
Got to take it serious. This one was pretty bad. You know, she's 17, got a car, runs around, does her thing, and just wasn't taking it serious. I think this one woke her up a little bit because it was pretty bad.
It wasn't all her not taking care of herself. I mean, her kidney infection and her UTI sent her into DKA.
Made it worse.
She did have an infection. Yeah, she got an infection that triggered the DKA, the diabetic ketoacidosis, and she waited too long even to let us know that had happened. So by the time we got her to the hospital, Mel took her to a hospital, the local one here. They immediately transported her to a children's hospital in Orlando because she was in critical condition. And she was in the ICU. So, but she's better. You know, it was fixed, and hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So
when Mel, you guys put it on social, and then I reached out. I was like, yeah, maybe we should put things off because that sounded real friggin' hairy, man. I'm glad. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, a couple of days. I mean, she's been home for a couple of days now. She's doing good, but now she's kind of stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope she shows that she's doing what she needs to be doing.
For 4 months at least.
Yeah, she turns 18 in 4 months, so she's kind of like grounded for 4 months.
Fair enough. My youngest are 12-year-old twins, so they're right at that age, you know. So yeah. I got 4 girls. You got 3 girls, right? Sorry, hold on. My boy would kill me. My oldest is a boy, and then I have 4 girls after that. He would have shot me if I hadn't said that.
Yeah, he would have. Yeah, that's a lot. That's too many. That's no.
The last 2 come at once.
What's that?
The last 2 came at once. So
yeah, that's kind of a bad trick on somebody, in my opinion. Yeah, another baby, and then you're like, what? 2 babies? Oh my god. Yay! I'm not gonna sleep for 9 months.
So you, I mean, we're talking about, and I asked you this ahead of time if I mentioned it because I didn't want to. But you had you had another bit of an issue at home a while back, eh?
Yeah, last March. I had a building out back that one of the little barn buildings you can buy, portables.
Yep.
It was a really nice one. I had it out here. I did completely finish the interior, spray foam insulation, drywall, power, water, air conditioning. It was my office, and the thing was beautiful, and we loved it, and it was really nice. And Mel was out in the office until like 2 a.m. or something, doing some work one night. I'd already come in and gone to bed. And then about 4:30 in the morning, our neighbor is beating on the door saying, "You've got a fire." And I kind of looked over the house and I could see the glow. And then she's like, "You want me to call the fire department?" I went, "The hell yeah, I want you to call the fire department." And I took off running to get back to the shop or get back to the office. Or just to get back. I didn't know it was on fire yet. And so I get back there. So my office sat like this, and then I had another building, same size, sat beside it like this. I had a Kawasaki Mule side by side, parked between them, and there's probably 30 feet between the two buildings, side by side there. My tractor was sitting in front of my office because I had been doing stuff that day, just parked it right there.
Oh.
And I come around the building, and my truck was parked right behind my shop, it was about 50 feet from the office. And the side by side is burning like a torch. It's already gone. Like its tires are gone already. And my tractor is on fire, but had just looked like it just caught on fire, and the entire exterior front of the building was on fire. The fire grew quickly, and I mean like intensely, to the point that I actually had to run around and get my truck and move it because it was starting to melt the grill, the passenger mirror, the fender flare, and everything on the front of the truck was starting to melt. So the truck was about to go too. I got the truck out of the way, and when I went to move the truck, Mel was yelling at me not to go out there because the ammo in my shop or the offices started cooking off, and I had about 180,000 rounds of ammo in there, and lost all that. I lost everything. We recovered a little bit of ammo out of there. I lost 31 weapons in the fire, 180,000 rounds of ammo, all my optics, night visions, spotting scopes, binoculars, knives of every. Oh. I lost about 350 mags in the fire. It hurt. It really hurt. And to know that it was intentional. I lost about $10,000 worth of ham radio equipment, probably more than that actually, if I really broke it down. I lost everything. Freeze dryer, because in the back of the office we had a whole room that was for food prep, stainless steel counters, fridge, sinks.
Oh,
the whole thing. Freeze dryer sat back there. We had a whole food prep storage area. Body armor. Helmets. I lost everything I had. Everything. So
how did insurance help, or was it? I mean, that's one of them things, right? Or is it?
Well, so the fire got the office completely. But the fire department, by the time the fire department put it out, the only thing left was that a piece of that back room. But the heat of that had also set my shop on fire. So I ended up losing like about 40% of my shop as well.
Wow.
I ended up taking a chainsaw and I just cut the bad section off, and then we rebuilt it. And so I have it back, but I don't have the office back. But it was about a $250,000 loss, and the insurance company gave me $70,000.
7 or 70?
70.
Okay. Wow. Still like less than a third.
Less than a third.
Wow.
Because it was considered an outbuilding,
Yeah.
I've
heard about that.
People are always like, "Well, at least it wasn't your house." I'm like, I wish it was my house. I would have lost less money, and I'd have got more in insurance. It wouldn't have been nearly as big a hit for this house to have burned down than it was that office because of what was in there. There were PMs in there. There was gold coins, silver coins. That shit all gone. The fire was so hot because I had a lot of stuff and I had a lot of insurance stuff, I can't get today. And there was weapons that were melted into slag.
Wow.
It sucked. It sucked bad, and that really set me back on my heels for a while.
Put you in a funk. I heard you say it put you in a funk or something.
Yeah, it did put me in a funk. Because it wasn't accidental; it was intentional.
Sure.
So that's and because it was intentional, that's why I was like, I'm not going to let them stop what I do. I'm going to keep doing what I do in spite of that.
Good for you.
And it's all right. What goes around comes around. It happened. I'm over that. Moving on. I'm still doing my thing. So
you got a long memory, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how did you, this is the thing. I talk to a lot of different preppers and homesteaders and stuff. And that grit, that mental toughness, that's something you can't learn. Right. So what did you do? How the fuck did you get out of it? Or did you? Well, no, I sat around in a funk for a little while, and I'm telling myself the whole time too, that, you're in a funk and you need to get out of that.
And one day I literally just said, all right, enough of this shit.
Yep.
And I got up and got back to work. But I was down literally for about a month. I didn't do shit. I sat on the couch and watched TV. I didn't do anything. But then I got out of it, and I got back to work. I went out and rebuilt my shop, fixed that. I got some dumpsters and stuff out here. Had some buddies come with heavy equipment. We cleaned out the area where the office used to be, scraped the earth, piled that shit into dumpsters, got rid of it so I didn't have to look at it no more. I went out and just started getting things done again. So it all worked out.
That's cool. I mean, it sucks, but it kind of reminded me of something. So we got other podcasts we do things on, and we did an episode a while back on death and dealing with loss and things like that. And so Letty and I, she was in here earlier, we got talking about how in your books, and maybe I read way too much into it, and if I do, just call me a fucking idiot and we'll move on. But the whole idea of burying somebody, it almost seemed like to be a cathartic release for your characters. Do you know what I mean? Like we're detached from it now, right? And like Thad used it as an emotional release, that and Danny, I don't want to, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah. Can you talk about that a bit and where that might have come from?
Yeah, well, so I have a different view of death than a lot of people do. Okay. First, I'm going to give you my philosophy on life, and you'll get a good idea of why I think of death the way I do.
Sure.
My philosophy on life is this: life is a sexually transmitted disease with a 100% fatality rate.
Yep.
Nobody gets out alive. Okay. We have two guarantees in this world. If you're born, that was the first one. You're born. The other one is you get to die. All the stuff that happens in between those two dates is totally up to you and in your hands and your hands only. My dad had a terminal illness that just wore him down over many years.
Oh.
He had the same view on death that I do. We joked about it. We laughed about it. We cut up, we knew it was going to happen. We both understood that. And it's nothing you can stop. So I've always tried to look at it. And when I think about my dad now, I don't get all teary and bleary-eyed thinking about him. I miss the shit out of him. But I remember the stuff we did. I celebrate the life, not mourn the death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss him. Yeah, I wish he was still around. But as long as I'm remembering him, he's still here, and I think of him all the time. So the idea of, and I'm not afraid of dying in the least bit, not even kind of.
Good for you.
Because I know I'm gonna one of these days. I just hope it's a hell of a lot of fun when it happens. I mean, I don't want to be laying in a bed, old and decrepit and die that way. I hope, it's something spectacular, like, skydiving and my chute don't open. Fuck it, whatever. Whatever happens, in a training accident, catch a round wrong, which happened once recently, not too long ago. And fortunately, I was lucky on that one. But it doesn't scare me. And I think that there's something for people to be able to do that, goodbye,
Yeah.
Continue on with your journey, like if you remember the books, like Dalton gets up there and he always says something that's usually in like Latin or some crazy shit like that. If you translate those things, you'll see what he really says.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they're fairly powerful,
Yeah.
And that's just how, and even Al and I, we talk about death and stuff like this too. We have the same view on it. So, celebrate life, miss them, miss the hell out of them. But say goodbye and do it with dignity. Like my dad, I tell people there is such a thing as good death. The day my dad passed, it just so happened that Alan Kay was in town.
Wow.
So we were at my mom and dad's house because they called. There was a problem. My mom was bedridden. She had surgery having her liver bisected. She was bedridden, couldn't get out of bed. My dad could barely get around. He was on full oxygen. They called, needed help. We ran over there and we stayed. And then in the middle of the night, our middle daughter is a type 1 diabetic also. Mel had to take her to the ER. So I had to come home and take her a little bit. And I left Alan with my parents because there'd be in no better hands, and I knew it. And in the middle of the night, while I'm gone, he calls. He's like, "Hey, I think we need to call hospice." And I'm like, "Do what you got to do. Get him in there." So as soon as Mel gets back from the hospital, I jump in my truck and haul ass. I get back to Mom and Dad's house about 6 a.m. and Alan walks up in the driveway and we're talking. He's telling me what was going on, and he's definitely going downhill pretty hard. And the hospice nurse, who ended up being really cool, and she was in love with Alan. She was in love with him. But she stuck her head out the door. She's like, "Hey, you two need to come in here."
Oh.
And so I walked up in the house. I looked at my dad. He looked at me. I nodded at him. I walked over. I took his hand, and I was like, "It's cool, man." And that was it. But that night, while Alan was there and I was there with my dad, we laughed and we joked and we told stories and we had a great time. So I don't look at my dad's death. Yeah, his death is sad, but the event wasn't sad. I just wish she hadn't had to go to the hospital. I'd have been there all night. It's the only thing I wish, but I'm not going to blame my kid. I don't blame my kid for that. No, shit happens.
Yeah.
And they were in good hands. My parents knew Alan very well. So well, so that when my dad passed away, I gave Alan my dad's pickup truck.
Nice.
So he's family to me. He's family. So
that's cool. Thanks for sharing that, man. I had no idea. I didn't mean to take you down.
No,
I just didn't want to travel. So
it's easy, man. No, I think everybody needs to. Like we've got a friend. I love her to death. Her mother was very ill, in and out of the hospital for years and years, and then one day she passed. And the woman refused to. I can't believe she's gone. And even her husband was like, "What?" He's like, "We're putting her in the hospital every 2 weeks." He's like, "What do you mean you can't believe she's gone?"
I know people like that.
But to have that level of unacceptance, to me, is irrational and unhealthy. You need to have a level because it's going to happen. You can't avoid this. It's going to happen. I'm not looking forward to dying by any means. I want to, have some fun. Yeah. But when someone does, accept it. And if it's a tragic accident or something like that inside the blue, yeah, it's a little harder to take. But when it's something that you can see on the horizon, and we all know that, hey, it's out there and it's getting closer, you have time with it. So, and for the scenes, that's a family, because that's what those guys are. All of them. They're a very tight family, and when they have to say goodbye, they do it with dignity. And they've got the graveyard where they bury their friends and family, and then they got the holes in the pasture where they throw looters and whatnot. There's a definite disconnect in how they treat death. If you're one of us, you get that dignity and you get that goodbye, and we're going to miss you, and we're going to make it a thing. And if you're some dirtbag that we had to, put in, we don't care what happens to you. You're just something that needs disposed of at that point. That's how I see it still. So.
The attack, which I can't remember which city it was on, but when they used the ground rocket launchers, and basically it was 300 or 400 people died, and they had to bury their friends and family in the open. You could tell that was tough. You could tell that.
Yeah. The grab rocket attack that happened.
That's it. Thank you.
Cubans, the mortars, and then Dalton went and found those Cubans with that mortar, and he paid them up.
Dalton cracks me the hell up. I love that. It's funny we talk about the characters like they're real people, but that's cool.
Dalton's Alan, so.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Sure. Yeah.
Dalton is Alan. And see, what most people know about that too is up in the mountains where he's from, that's what people call him. They call him Dalton. If you go and ask for Alan, they're like, who? He's Dalton. But I met him as Alan, so I've always called him Alan. I don't even call him Dalton. I call him Dalton in the books. And his parts, a lot of time, I'll call him on the phone and we'll talk about it. And then
ask him what he would do.
Work out how it's going to happen. Oh, no, because I'll tell him, hey, I've got Dalton's going to do this. And be like, oh, have him do this and say that. And I'm like, oh, geez, yeah, that's so much better, dude. So he's my brother. I love that guy. So
that's cool. Joanna just wanted me to shout out that Chris, Kim, Piner or Pinner, Egghead, Survival Dave, Ahart are all in here. That's cool.
Egghead in the house, Dave in the house, and Kim Piner. Kim is a sweet lady. And so for you guys that are watching, Kim Piner, if you have read book 11, you may have seen the name Audie Piner. Audie was Kim's husband. He passed away from ALS. And Kim is a big fan of the books, and we are a big fan of her. And we're going to go to Colorado and hang out with her until she kicks us out of her house. So
that is cool. I'm going to ask you a question here, and if anybody, thank you, Pine Tree. Somebody just sent a sticker, so thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, we'll go into spoiler territory for a minute. I mean, it's all whatever. Fuck it, whatever. But so there's a couple of deaths in the books that did okay. One of the unsung guys that I really like is Jeff. He cracks me the hell up. Did you have to kill him, or did you know you were going to kill him when you? No.
I never know who. Like, literally don't. And so, and the character Jeff, that's a real guy. That I don't ever talk to him on the phone. But he was a Harley riding IT guy that helped me with some stuff a long time ago, and I killed him the way I killed him, and he was just like, "You son of a bitch!" Like,
yep,
because I liked Jeff too. Like the bubblegum scene with him and Morgan.
Oh my God,
epically funny to me. But it's a hard world. And that's one of the things that I want to make sure in my books is that, Danny suffered epic loss. He lost his wife.
About that too. Yep.
Taylor was injured in that attack too. She's got scars on her face and stuff. Bad things happen to good people.
Yeah.
And Morgan's people aren't insulated from that. They're out there doing things, and shit can happen to them. So. I don't want to kill any of these people off necessarily, but I can't promise that it won't happen, because I literally, when I'm writing this stuff, I'm just following along, watching it in my head and typing it down. And there's been times I've been like, oh, I can't do that. Wipe that off the page. No, we can't. That's got to go. And find a new way. But
can you share anything that you were going to do that you didn't do? Sorry if I put you on the spot.
No, well, there's one thing I would love to share, but I can't, because it's probably going to happen in another book, and you guys are going to hate it. You guys, I always told everybody that would hate the ending of book 11. Okay,
I haven't got there, but that's okay.
They hate the end of book 11 because of the way it ends. It's abrupt. I will put it to you that way. But I didn't put the actual ending of 11 in that I was going to, and I'm moving that situation to 12, and it's actually already modified even further from there. But you're going to hate it when it happens. You're going to be, there's going to be some
pissed off people.
Some pissed off, especially if I do it at the end of the book. If I leave that at the end, I'll have to.
I'll be cussing at Duke like crazy. I'll be, you fucking, why'd you have? Because before I met you,
out of that one, I already get it now. People are like, yeah, I'm waiting for the rest of book 11 to download, because it does end up abruptly, like,
that's okay.
So, but there's a reason, and you see why in book 12.
And the book 12, did I hear you say August for book 12, or was I drunk when I heard that?
Yeah, we're trying to aim for, let me think here. Yeah, August-ish is kind of what we're looking at, hopefully.
That's insane.
Hopefully. And that'll be all three formats at one time. So,
and then I know, then of course everybody asks when the next, but are you, because I seen on Instagram you had that's where I got your thumbnail for this with the cigar. You were writing book 12 at the time. Are you into 15 yet, or no?
No, I'm still working on 12.
Okay, cool.
So that's still in process. And then, I mean, it depends. I mean, book 11 took me 4 years to write, but in that time, my dad had passed away. My mom was having major health issues, and then we had COVID, and we also did Decline and Decay kind of in there too. And so it was tough to write. And then the office burned down, and I actually finished 12, pretty much finished, or 11, excuse me, when I went to my buddy's place in Louisiana, the Frasers.
I saw that. Yeah,
there's a clan of them up there. They're all awesome, great people, like family to us now. We love them to death. We took the camper out there, and we just sat on the side of that river for a month, and we hardly left that place. I think we went down to New Orleans once. I think we went to somewhere else one time. We really didn't leave the river. We just hung out down there and had a great time. So I'm going to do that again, probably. Going back over to Louisiana. I got to hang out on the river for a while. So
was it good for the creative process?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. There's Shane, one of the brothers there, has a really nice cabin that sits up on the bluff over the river. It's got a beautiful front porch on it. And I took a folding table out there and set it up in my chair, and I would just go out there every morning and sit on that porch. River, lay out in front of me and just sit there and write, play some music, and just sit there and work. It was amazing. It was a lot of fun.
That is awesome. Yeah, that when you find a good spot, it gets the juices flowing.
Yeah, writing's harder than, I know people think, oh, I couldn't write a book, but it's actually probably more difficult than you even think. There's so much that goes into being able to get your head in the right spot and be able to sit down and do that. and there's times where, look at that Survival Summit in the house.
Look at that. We had to bring. Thank you very much, Survival Summit. That
Jesse's
means
a good dude, man. Jesse's a good dude. But your head has to be in the right place. So things that are stressing you out, or if you got something you're dealing with, whatever, it's not real conducive to being creative. So I try to stay pretty mellow. I don't get excited or real amped up about stuff. I'm a fairly low key individual, and I don't care what's going on. I don't care if shit's on fire around me. I'm not the guy to panic. I'm still low key, and I'm going to be observing and making a plan quick in a hurry. But I don't get highly animated like ever. So.
I kind of got that. I was like,
I shouldn't say that. I do when there's use of force incidents are occurring or about to occur. I'm rather animated at that point. I had an incident in North Carolina with a bunch of dudes with rifles, and but I didn't back down. I ran out there with a 45 in my hand and told them, I'm going to kill every one of you motherfuckers. And there was like 12 of them.
How'd that go? Did they back down after that?
Oh yeah. They hauled ass because they were trespassing on my property, hunting, and had shot in the direction of my house.
And didn't know, right? They played stupid, sure.
Yeah, they played stupid, but yeah. And so when I caught up to them, I came out screaming. I had a pistol in my hand, and one of them was actually standing on my property, on my side of the fence, had his rifle leaned against a post, and I told him, I said, "You pick it up, you're a fucking dead man. You pick up that rifle, I will shoot you where you stand." Because in North Carolina, I could have done that and got away with it. It's perfectly legal. And there were like 6 trucks out there on the road, and they're all hauling ass and trying to get the hell away from me because I was going to kill everybody. Because we were sitting in the living room, and a round goes off, and we hear it pass right by the house. Ooh. And so I grabbed a pistol, and I didn't pick up a rifle. I just grabbed a pistol and hauled ass. And they were hunting bears illegally, and they got caught though. I got them all caught. So
wow, yeah. Man, oh man, I don't get it. I don't know. So I got to ask you about this guy, and it might sound like the comic book. You ever watch you're a Simpsons fan at all, or no?
Oh yeah,
yes. Do you remember when the comic book guy would be like at a Comic-Con and he'd ask some random question about, basically William Shatner would call him a friggin' idiot, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of thing. But do you remember your Canadian character? I don't know if you do.
Alex? Oh, yeah.
Okay. So were you gonna? I am. Again, spoilers here, guys, but I'm really glad you didn't make him a fucking Cuban spy. I thought for sure when
Now, Alex is a real dude.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Alex is a real dude. He's an IT guy.
Okay.
And so Alex will still be in the books. He's going to be one of those characters that shows up at odd times doing weird shit.
Oh, you made my day. He's the only Canuck in there. And I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Thank you. I thought that was the end of what I'd hear from him. So that
Alex will he will show up at random times doing weird shit is what I'll say for Alex. So
that is cool. Good. Yeah. Because when he first showed up, he was just kind of a little bit like Dalton. I didn't quite know how to take Dalton either, in the first night he spent on the side.
Oh, yeah. Well, the way he arrives, that everybody thinks that, and everybody still thinks he's like a Russian spy or something. See, there's more to that story of how that encounter takes place than people realize. This is a discussion that he and I have had, like in the time when I totally called him a spy first, like, in a world without rule of law, like, the shit's hit the fan, whatever. How do you approach a group? Like, how do you do that? Now, doing it in the dark wasn't the best thing for him to do, but he was being chased, if you recall. And he knows there's this group here because he's been watching them, and he'd been watching them for a few days to see how did they act? How did they carry themselves? Were they taking advantage of people? Were they doing stuff? So when he finally does the contact, he does it slowly. He makes sure that he knows they see him. That's the first thing. And he moves non-threateningly, getting closer, closer. To finally, they're like, let's go check this dude out, see what's up. He's obviously not a threat. He knows we can see him. He's standing in an open field. And so that was done that way as a demonstration for a reason, of how you can make contact. Because too many preppers have it in their head of, this is my place, I'm going to defend it, and I'll kill every son of a bitch that comes near it. Well, you might kill the greatest asset that your group could have ever got. That could have been a surgeon or an engineer or something like that was coming to say, hey, I'm looking to trade skills for, room and board, basically. Or you might bump another group on a patrol, and instead of just opening fire and shooting one another, you might find out that these guys are better equipped than you, are not far from you and nearby, and are willing to network and coordinate. Instead of, everybody, preppers have too much in their head of shoot first and ask questions later. In my opinion. And the project we were talking about with Survival Summit is something where you guys will get to see some of exactly what I'm talking about right there. So
some of the wrong examples.
Wrong? Well, is there a wrong example? We're going to show. It'll be interesting. I don't want to give too much away on that, but what we're coming up with.
Okay. Oh, Dave's a man after my own heart. Man, you guys are awesome. Thank you. Taxation is theft. You see, there's an anarchy.
They call it extortion, but the government does it. It's a tax.
Yeah, and you never agree, right? Nobody ever. I tell my kids that all the time. You never wake up. Nobody ever comes to you and says, "Hey, do you want to sign an agreement to pay taxes?" And that doesn't happen. So, thank you, Dave. We appreciate you.
Dave Hart's awesome. He sent Mel. She's not wearing it today. He sent Mel.
No.
Oh, that's right. Dave says this. So Mel's garden is full of huge sunflower plants. So things like 12 feet.
Yeah.
And Dave Hart sends her the seeds. He sends her the seeds that she plants in her garden to grow these beautiful, enormous sunflowers.
Let's bring this one up here. This is Letty. She says, the way Morgan goes about everything, check them out, see how they react. The big boss lawyer dude that came to town, man. He reminded me so much of my uncle from Fort Pierce.
Porky. Porky was fun to write. I enjoyed writing him.
He got his comeuppance too, man. That was thank you. I mean, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Well, there's some. So the way Book 11, there's some things in Book 11 that those of you who have read it, you think I've made a mistake. You think I've fucked up. I'm not going to give it away because you ain't ready yet. But when you hear it, you're going to think I fucked up too.
I'm going to send you a message. I will.
But know that I haven't, and know that it was done on purpose. And you'll see why in Book 12. So
that's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Spoiler alert for anybody else again, because right in, I want to say the first or second book, give them a second here so anybody can tune out for a second. You talk about Morgan's parents. And as soon as you mention that, I'm like, if he doesn't pay that off, I will riot. And so thank you. That's all I got to say. But was that kind of in the works? Did you kind of have that on the back burner the whole time, or did that?
Oh, yeah, because, he's obviously thinks about his parents, and he's worried about them. But in that world, what would be about a 50-minute drive right now to get to his parents?
Crazy.
Is entirely different, which is why they decided to take the river.
Yes.
It would be safer, obviously. And where my parents lived in real life, they lived on the St. Johns River. So it was easy enough to take a boat and pull right up in there. And I wanted him to get to them, but it wouldn't be something that's going to be super easy. And that's the other thing is I don't want to make everything too convenient, too easy for these characters, because it's not going to be convenient or easy. You guys wait for Book 12 to, Book 11 sets up some things that are pretty cool. Like you're starting to see some things advance, like life is getting a little bit better. But then there's something that happens in Book 12 that throws kind of a cloud over all of that in a big way. But we're still doing things, they're getting things running. They're starting to rebuild, as it were. So from Book 12 forward, you're going to start to see the rebuilding of society in a big way. They're trying to get back to I'm not going to say normal, but a new routine of life that's different than the one they have now. So
that's cool. Yeah, I as soon as I seen the title Engineering Home, I said, I kind of maybe assumed or guessed where you're heading with it. So that's exciting. That's a whole different, because I mean, how long is the apocalypse really going to last? And eventually you got to get back to living, right?
Yeah. That's the whole point, right? I mean, we don't live a Stone Age life anymore because we've found that metal is better than rocks, right? The houses are better than caves, and houses are better than teepees, right? So we want to live as comfortably as we can. But our current society brings along with it a lot of fucking baggage that we don't want or need.
Yep.
And imagine getting the opportunity to have a reset and to have a hand in that restructuring, to say that I'm going to have an impact on how this comes back together and what it will look like. And so that's what you're going to be seeing moving forward. And there'll be conflict over, some people want the old ways, and some people are like, no, that was stupid, and here's why. And then you're going to see, there'll be differences in different areas of how people decide to live, which is the way it's supposed to be anyway. That's why we have states. The states are supposed to make up their own rules, pass their own laws, and then you can pick which one of those you want to live in. I don't want to deal with this bullshit. I'm going to go live over there because they don't have it. That's how it's supposed to work.
If you want to go live in California, you can. I don't know why you would, but you could.
Yeah. I mean, the weather's nice, but that's all they got.
Yeah. When I went to Florida, I told my wife, this is our first trip there. I missed you by 2 days. I think we were talking about that earlier. But I said, this is like California, but without all the bullshit. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't call it the Gunshine State for nothing.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I shot machine guns for my first ever. I went to Machine Gun America in Orlando. Oh, that's a quick way to spend a few $100s. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, it is. Absolutely is. I love full auto. But only for me. And you got to remember, I spend a lot of time training, and I train and do stuff. I've done Robin Sage with First Special Forces Group, where we actually pretend to be guerrilla fighters, and we interact with the Green Berets. We do all this stuff, and I've been trained to use the 240, the 249, and the M4s, and I can shoot and have shot all that shit. And it's fun. But belt fed, in my opinion, is the only thing that needs to be fully automatic, other than maybe some submachine guns. Like Agent MP5 is a great full auto thing for clearing houses, but your battle rifle, that shouldn't be full auto ever, in my opinion, because it's just a waste of time and ammo.
Sure makes you smile like a little schoolgirl for a minute.
Oh, it does. There's full auto is the most fun you can have with your clothes on, in my opinion. What time are we going to leave here?
We got to pick up Peggy at 5:45.
At 5:45?
How we doing?
Okay, it's 3:45 now.
Okay, well, I was just about to slide into, if you want to do like a rapid fire. I got a whole bunch of little questions for people.
Yeah, fire them off, man.
All right, let's start with that. And okay, so I think I'm going to try to shout out, and if other people in the comments, throw them out too. But John Palmer, he asked, did you know, I think we've answered this, but did you know this would be more than one book when you started it?
No.
I
didn't know it was going to be a book when I started it.
Do you remember the name of the forum? Is it still?
Survivors Boards.
Okay. Still around, or is it gone?
Oh, yeah. Huge forum. Yeah.
Mira wants to know, how prepared are you in real life for a variety of possible disasters and events?
Well, since the fire, I'm not as prepared as I was, but I am still very well prepared. Because while I lost a lot of material things, I didn't lose any of the knowledge or skill set that I have.
Nice.
I teach primitive survival. Okay, I can do the Stone Age thing if I need to do that. I don't want to do that, but I can. And I'm slowly rebuilding my gear and getting things back together. So I'm not too worried about it. There's a difference in being uncomfortable and being dead. All right. And it's a thing that Americans in particular have a problem with. They equate comfort to safety. Those two are not synonymous with one another. You can live uncomfortably and be perfectly fine. And it's something we'll all have to get used to. I lost a bunch of stuff that if I still had everything that I had, I didn't care what would have happened. I would have been comfortable and I would have been fine. Now I might be a little uncomfortable and I'm going to have to work a little harder, but hopefully it holds together long enough I can get some of my stuff back. So
sure. Cool. Letty, so we touched on these, but Letty wanted to know what your thoughts are about it being made into a mini series. So I guess
that's what we're working on. So we're looking for not a mini series. We're actually looking for like a streaming platform. Think Walking Dead without the zombies. Like
that's what I was wondering.
That level of production and that kind of run too. I mean, there's 11 books. I mean, we could run this series for a decade on TV right now.
Does it need to be a hard R or like TVMA? Yeah.
It needs to be. Yeah, it'll be R at the very minimum. It'll have to be because I'm not going to water down the language and I'm not going to water down some of the violent acts. There's things like rapes that happen in my books, but they're not explicit or gratuitous. It's up to the reader to interpret. You know what just happened. So we're not going to go past that level even in TV. We're not going to be showing horrible shit like that. It's going to stick kind of to the book, but because of the language and things, and a lot of shooting and sticking and stabbing and stuff. So it'll have to be an R. So
do you have you mentioned streaming service a bunch of times? Do you have? Maybe I can't ask this, but I'm going to.
Yeah, anyway. We're not talking to any of them yet. This is a complicated process. By the time you get to distribution, a whole bunch of other shits had to happen first. So we're still working on that other stuff. So,
you have a favorite service or one you like, or does it really matter?
Whoever writes the biggest check.
Amen. Okay, cool. I appreciate it. And gives you creative freedom, right?
That's part of the deal. So, I've got to have input. Like if someone wanted, if someone came to me right now and said, we'll give you $100 million, we want to buy this franchise and we're going to make it our way, I would probably take that check and walk away. But I've already walked away from 8-figure checks.
Wow. Okay.
That I said no to.
Yep.
That I'm like, we're not doing that. No. So we do want it done right. And yeah, I understand the value of this franchise. It's not lost on me. I know what it's worth.
Good man. I love somebody that knows the value of their shit. That's awesome. And some people might say you're full of yourself for it. No, you're just you know what you've done. So
I'm not being arrogant in the least bit. A lot of writers, like we were talking about before we got on here, the genre filled up with writers, and it used to, and it still amazes me. You see somebody write a book, they spend all those months or sometimes a year to write this book, and they'll put it on Amazon and sell it for 99 cents. And I'm like, what are you doing? I said, do you understand? Oh, I'm trying to sell books. I want to increase my sales rank. I'm like, I want to increase my bank account. That's what I want to do. I said, and when you sell your book for 99 cents, you're telling the reader that you as the author don't think it's worth more than $1.
Amen to that.
Have value in your own work and let the reader know that there's value here for you. Trust me. And so that's why I don't do giveaways on Amazon. This is a for-profit enterprise. This is how I make a living. Plus all the other stuff that we do, training classes and things like that. But the books, they're the meat on the bone. They're what gets the bills paid around here. So
that's a soundbite to live by right there, baby. That was good. Thank you. And you're right. Value your shit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't value it, how can you expect anybody else to?
So here's another one. This one, I wonder how often you've been asked this, but what's either the worst or what kind of negative feedback have you got on the books or the series? Like what was the biggest piece of criticism you've ever, and you might just kind of take it and swallow it and don't remember it because.
No. The funniest stuff is actually that how often the books get referred to as right-wing reactionary politics and racist.
Racist?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And then if we can go back to another thing, if you want to know what the biggest piece of criticism that I've ever received was burning my office to the fucking ground.
Read between the lines where you want, right? Okay. Fair enough.
So
how about Morgan or Thad? Who do you want? This is a fangirl question. I love it. Who would you love to see Morgan or Thad played by if adapted?
Well, for me, Thad's always been Michael Clark Duncan. So I have a hard time now picturing him as anybody else.
I can see that.
And for Morgan, it's kind of funny. When I write some of the characters, when I write Sarge, I see Gunny. I see Arlene Ermey. When I write Thad, I see Michael Clark Duncan. When I write some of the other characters, I see other people. When I write Morgan, there's no face.
Yeah, I get it.
But there's no face. Mel wants Chris Pratt. She's always said it has to be Chris Pratt.
And he would fit it too, wouldn't he?
He would do good at it, but I don't think I'm gonna have Chris Pratt money. You know what I'm saying? So
I get it.
But you never know. You never know what they'll do. Casting is a whole thing that we're a long ways away from, and that's another complicated and convoluted mess that I'm not looking forward to. But we'll be there one of these days soon. So
that's cool. And then someone asked more books after number 12. You figured 20. That's what you think?
Yeah, I figured at least 20. Plus, the spinoff to, or not
Charlie?
Charlie's
Requiem.
Well, there's Charlie's Requiem. There'll be another one of those this year. There'll be a sequel to Cry Havoc. I might pick up the little novella that I did, Ramblin' Man, and actually turn that into a full novel. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not.
No, I haven't. I didn't even know about that.
There's a novella. It's on Amazon. It's called Ramblin' Man.
Okay.
And it's an interesting story. It's unrelated to the series entirely. And it's got a unique kind of story to it. The main character, the main character in Ramblin' Man is a horrific alcoholic. And he's trying to make his way through some uncertain times. You know, he's in jail and shit, and it's funny. It's funny, humorous, but it's also along the lines of the same thing. It's a post-apoc book, but imagine a guy that's just a horrible alcoholic trying to deal with this shit. You know, like I haven't seen in the book. I have him. He kind of builds his kit out of a thrift store. He breaks into a thrift store at night because he was in jail, and they throw him out when these things go down because he wasn't arrested for anything bad. But he goes into a thrift store, and that's where he assembles his kit. You know, he gets a knife from there, he gets a pot, he finds a backpack and blankets, he finds some boots that fits him, he does his whole thing. But across the street from there was a bar, and the lights are out in town, and everything's going south, and he hears horses running on the road. And so he walks over and he looks out the window of this thrift store, and these two guys on horseback come flying out of this bar, and a case of beer falls off of one of the horses and hits the road. So he wakes, the horses are gone. He looks around. He runs out and grabs his case of beer. Well, he wakes up in the morning in the thrift store naked with a guitar laid across him. He drank that case of beer.
That's funny. I got it. Yeah, so it takes place along the same event, though, or not?
No, it's not really the same event, and it happens. This one is happening out west, like Iowa and Kansas, and out that way. So it's a different environment, a different thing. It was fun. Amazon actually. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just realized why I wrote it.
Yeah,
I wrote it in Stephen Conkley's world of the Jakarta pandemic. It's set in that world in some of his books. It was a novella kind of a thing that Amazon asked, and he asked me to do, and I did it. And then Amazon canceled that little program, and I got ownership of it back. So and I republished it. So it's on Amazon. You can buy it. It's not in audio. But I'm going to take that probably and turn it into a full novel because it's just a novella right now. It's about 50,000 words, give or take. So,
yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So how did you? Somebody want to know? Or this was Letty as well. How did you come up with the idea to start the series? That was just, yeah. Where was your inspiration? Just wanted a creative outlet.
Sitting around reading stories on a forum. Thought they were okay. Some of them, but thought they were all missing something from me. And I just, what the hell? I'm going to write one. Literally, that was how much thought I put into it. That was all the plan, and no intention of writing a book. I was just going to write a story. That's all I did. I was just writing a story for fun. It was just for my entertainment. The whole reason I did it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
And Aaron asked about box sets. We covered that one. And then I had 3 of mine. But Sarge, we already talked about who that he was based off of, so that was awesome. So this one is another one of them geeky questions. But the cattle ranch that comes up in the last couple of.
Yep.
How did they avoid the DHS?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How did they avoid the DHS? Because they make no, or maybe they didn't. I don't know. But they basically just were completely left alone the whole time?
Well, yeah, you'll see in book 12 kind of how that happened.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So that ranch is a real ranch. It's about 1,400 acres, not far from my house.
Okay.
And when there's an explanation of how that happened, and it's interesting, and not as hard as you would think either, because you got to remember the DHS, when they're going around, they're looking for signs of life, right? So if there's no sign of life and a house isn't visible from the street, even more important, and cattle aren't visible from the street, it just looks like it's a big swamp out there. Who's going to go out there and look at it? So that's kind of how they do it, but there's more explanation in book 12. So, because the DHS is going around, and 2, when this happened, people are running out. Oh, help's arrived, and you find out that it's not help at all.
Easy pickings for them. Okay, that makes sense then. I thought about that. Of course, when we're preppers, we play those mental games where we think, how far is somebody going to come to look for me? How hard are they going to work for it? So that's cool. I guess that's where that mindset.
It depends on who they are. You got to remember, like in these times, discipline is the key. All right, sound discipline. Noise travels farther at night than it does during the day. The smell of cooking meat can carry 2 miles.
Wow,
2 miles. The smell of cooking meat. So you got to be cognizant of these things. Noise, light, sound discipline, and odors as well. And that could be everything from your cesspool, because we don't have sanitation no more, If you build a shit house, if that thing starts getting a little ripe, you might want to fill that hole and move it to another one pretty quick.
Yep.
Keep your signature low. That's what you're trying to do, is keep your signature on the land as low as you can.
Oh, that's cool. And so how much of Morgan is you, or how much of you is in Morgan?
A lot, a whole lot.
Yep. I kind of figured. I get it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because when I first started talking to you, anyway, I didn't even know book 11 was coming out, and I got halfway through rereading the whole series, and I decided to Google you again because I hadn't been following, real close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so I go on. I'm like, holy shit, book 11's coming out, guys. You got to check this out. Yeah. And then it all cascaded and stuff, and I thought, and then I found out, oh, his wife's name's Mel. His daughter's a little bit. I'm like, it all makes sense now. So
it was funny when Carl Erickson, Tactical Rifleman on YouTube,
yep.
We're good friends. He come to the house one time, and we're standing in the kitchen, and he's talking to Mel, and he's like, have you ever read the books? And Mel's like, yeah, I'm in them. And he's like, whoa, wait. Oh, you're Mel. And it was just the funniest thing. We're laughing. And then a few minutes later, Little Bit comes in the kitchen. I'm like, and here's Little Bit. He looks at her. She's 17 years old now. And he looks at her, and he's like, what? He's like, I thought she was like this. I'm like, yeah, she was, dude, a decade ago. I mean,
It's changed, right?
I started writing these books, over 10 years ago, man. So she's grown up.
That's funny. Hunter wants to know I wondered this too. Maybe it was, anyway, do you got any thoughts on that?
So EMP it's a very misunderstood thing. First,
yes, it is. Yep.
And you got to remember, Morgan's little solar setup was not set up and functional when it occurred. Right. It was not tied to the grid. So you see all these houses these days that are putting these grid-tied solar systems on their homes. Those things will burn to the ground. Those systems will be destroyed if there's an EMP. In a solar system, your most vulnerable component is going to be obviously your charge controller inverter. If it's tied to the grid, it's toast. It's gone. If it's not tied to the grid, there's a very good chance it can survive, depending on where it's located, and a few other things.
Yes.
Solar panels have a diode on them that may not survive, but it's a tiny diode, and you can order a bunch of them in advance, keep them in a Ziploc bag in your shop with a soldering iron, and if the diodes did, pop in an EMP, just go out there and replace the damn things. Your panels are up and running again. That's really the only part in a solar panel.
Huh. That's cool. Yeah. And I don't know, the EMP thing it's all across the board. But there's a couple of real good experts out there that seem to say that they don't really know how much it'll destroy, and you won't know till it happens, right?
Yeah, you won't know until it happens, because there's so much that goes into it. All right, the altitude of the destination, what type of device was it, what frequency is it tuned to, what was the orientation of the piece of electronics to the blast,
right?
Okay. There's a lot that goes into it. Like I said, it's really a misunderstood thing, and it's more math and shit than I want to get into, other than to say a lot of people misunderstand it. So,
how about Jaggy here? He asked this one a little while ago. He said, when you have an idea of what to write in the middle of the night, do you make notes there, or do you sit on it and wait till later?
Well, I'm usually writing in the middle of the night. So I prefer to live kind of like indigenous people do. I sleep when I'm tired. I eat when I'm hungry. So I might be up all night and into the next day. I might go to sleep at 11 in the morning and sleep till whatever, and then get back up and do my thing. Or I might go to bed early and get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and get started. It just all depends. I don't keep a schedule very much. I don't watch the clock. I seldom even know what day of the week it is, because I just don't give a shit. Because I like to joke and tell people I live in a world of Saturdays.
When you're self-employed, I do the same thing.
Yeah, I live in a world of Saturdays. If I wake up and decide I'm going fishing, fuck it, I'm going fishing. So that's just what I do.
That's awesome. I was, and so the hand. Okay, one of the questions I asked, I think Nate's in here. I asked him on one of my live streams, but so you're a ham radio guy, right?
Yep.
When Morgan's on the road and he's calling back to his family, how accurate do you think that is? I was curious, because I have my life
very accurate.
That much. Yeah.
Very accurate. Oh yeah. The slick line, straight line antenna he's using, you can buy those online.
Cool.
They were using VHF. You got to remember that, not HF. The radio was VHF. And his neighbor, Don, just happened to have a tower. And he had a tube radio, if you recall.
Yep.
His radio worked. And that's how Morgan was able to make contact. So I have a VHF radio in my truck, a dedicated VHF in my truck. I have a UHF or HF and a VHF radio for here on the house, which I haven't hooked back up since the fire because my comm shack was in my office and all the conduits for the antennas and everything ran to the office. So I've got to reroute all that stuff now and then put the radios inside. But radio is this is a big deal to me. And me and Mel, I'm working on a thing right now, experimenting. We're going to try to get rid of our cell phones. And we are going to go to using DMR handheld radios with a cellular hotspot. Now, I know everybody's going to say, well, if you're doing that, it's the same thing as using a phone. Oh, no, it's not. I can set up a DMR private talk group that I can encrypt so that me and Melody can communicate with each other encryptedly from wherever using our radios.
And it's legal to be encrypted.
Huh?
Legal to be encrypted too, right?
In that capacity, yes.
Ah.
Private talk group. Then we might get tablets to be able to do some other stuff on that you can't do. To use like Signal and Telegram and a few other things like that. But there will be a Wi-Fi only device. There will not be a cellular connected device. And we can still use the Wi-Fi cellular hotspot, which isn't like a phone. People misunderstand it. They're not vacuuming as much data off of that hotspot as they are our phones.
Right.
So we're experimenting right now, trying to see if we can actually just get rid of our damn cell phones and not have them. Have a landline in the house. People want to get a hold of us. You can send me a message on Telegram. You can send me a text on Signal. You can do something like that. But you won't be able to get me any other way because, everybody's not going to be in my talk group and have a radio. So
that's cool. So I'm going to ask you another one then. This is something I run a handyman property management business.
Yeah.
And you talk about lock picking all the time too. And you used it in the books. And then I've seen a few videos that you did recently, or maybe in the last couple of months or last couple of years, about the importance of lock picking. How does one get into that and why is it important?
Well, to me, I got into it because it was just fun. Okay. It's a cool skill to learn. And you never know when you might find yourself in need of being able to pick a lock.
Sure.
ITS Tactical is an outfit online that does some great videos on lock picking.
Okay.
They also sell all the lock pick tools and stuff. Personally, I have a Sparrow lock pick set that I utilize. Little Bit was a big fan of lock picking. She loves picking locks, and I used to have all the brass practice locks, which disappeared with fire. So I got to get some new ones of those. But you never know when it's going to help you. I mean, I've used it everything from I lost a key one time to a trailer tongue lock when I had a trailer down in Daytona. I needed to go get it, and I got there. I'm like, shit, I forgot the key. Well, I just took my lock picks out and was astounded at how fast I picked that lock. I'm like, well, this thing's a piece of garbage and a waste of time. I threw it away because I got into it in like a second and a half. I had the tongue lock off the trailer.
That's awesome.
And that wasn't even trying hard. I knelt down. I felt the lock. I couldn't even see it. I stuck a tension wrench in it, and I put a rake in there, and I went like that. I went, holy shit, really? Garbage can.
It's like the lock picking lawyer then. That's cool.
Yeah, I've got locks on my fuel tanks because I have fuel delivery service, delivers fuel to my house, and I have locks on those. And I pick those locks in less than 3 seconds. They're garbage locks. They're little brass locks, and they're garbage because I can get into them so quick. But it keeps my kids from stealing my gas. So
I understand. That's why I keep car wash tokens in my car instead of dollar coins, because that way they ain't going to steal them. Like they steal them, they got to wash the truck. So
that's it.
Well, we've been 2 hours. If anybody else has any more questions, throw them up there. But so like, what's next, Chris? What do you got coming up? How do you find you? Anything, whatever you want to talk about there.
Well, we got the thing in Newberry, but you can follow him on Facebook. Angery American on Facebook, on Twitter. Look up Angery American. I'm on there. I do a lot of stuff on Twitter too. I follow a lot of intelligence stuff there, and I put out a lot of stuff. And I get into some really fun arguments with leftists on there.
Love it.
But we're working on the TV show. More books are coming. That's really it right now. We will be taking a road trip. When we take these road trips, we always announce where we're going. We watch Facebook. I'll always post where we're at, and we always try to get together with people. I don't care if it's one person. If we say, hey, we're in town, anybody want to get together? If it's one person,
Yep.
literally, we'll get with you and we'll meet with you. We just had a couple people here right before this happened. Tiffany Clark was here, who's been a reader for a long time. I met her with Alan one time in Georgia. Alan and I did a little meet and greet at a Mexican restaurant. She showed up there. We've been friends since. And she was in Daytona at a concert, and her and Mel are friends. And Mel's like, come by the garden, let's have brunch. And so they were just here hanging out, having brunch. We're very accessible people. We like to meet everybody because that's been one of the best things about this. I've made some incredible friends because of these books. I mean, lifelong people that I love dearly. And so we're all about meeting people and hanging out. We like to have a good time.
Joanna says, don't forget your Patreon page, Chris.
Yes, Joanna. See, I don't even pimp myself as good as they do. I have a Patreon as well.
Okay.
We put our daily intel report. We do a Tuesday night live for patrons only. And they're pretty much like the Facebook one. They're a shit show. They're a lot of fun. We talk. Sometimes we talk serious stuff. Sometimes we're just having fun. Mel's always on them. She's on the lives with me every time because her fan base is bigger than mine is. So
you were making jokes about her outfit last night. That's no reason, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's no reason at all. Yeah.
No. Okay, good.
She was like, can I wear this? I'm like, whatever. I don't care.
Oh, yeah. And tell her, see, as a Canadian, I need to apologize even for my jokes. So tell her I'm really sorry about that. So.
Oh, but you ain't got to apologize.
No, I know. Everybody who listens to me, they all, we're like the Midwesterns in Canada, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh, I just had to kick somebody out there. We had another bot show up. So.
I had to have a chat.
But yeah, no, that.
Shit.
Joanna, I don't know how they get
garden. Huh?
What else we get here? Oh, here's one. I'll ask you a couple more quick questions. We'll tie her up here. So, Chris, do you ever read scripts from potential authors?
I do all the time. The hard thing is if I'm sitting reading somebody else's, that's taking away time of me writing my own.
Totally get it.
I will try to offer advice, for publishing and stuff. I tell people that don't look at me as an example. Don't look at me as an example. You can do this. What happened to me was like being struck by lightning, guys. It was a freak of nature thing. And even Amazon to ask me a bunch of questions. Like, we went through this thing, and when she's done, the lady she goes, oh, she's like, you're one of those. And I was like, one of those? Want to watch? She's like, unicorn. She's like, you're a unicorn. She's like, you're what every author that's publishing on Amazon wants to be. She's like, you're successful enough that you make a living at it. She's like, you've been traditionally published, you self-publish. She's like, you've done the whole publishing thing. She's like, you're what everybody else wants to be. Then she's like, do you have any advice for him? And I was just like, tell him to write a good story. That's it. Write a good story. So.
We couldn't end anywhere better. That's awesome. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. You okay just to hang for like 2 minutes after the show, right quick?
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right.
Sure.
So and tell Mel thank you as well. But I'll just slide you in the back right quick. I'll close up and I'll be right back with you if you're okay.
Good, because I want to go fill my tea up because that's some critical stuff right here.
You go ahead, man. No problem.
And for everybody who tuned in, I want to say big thanks, guys. I love doing things like this. We're going to be doing some more on our end as well here soon. Awesome. But if you ever want to do this again, Tim, I'm more than happy to come on and we can talk about whatever.
I'd love it. Yes.
It's always fun to me to talk with anybody, and your audience getting a chance to ask questions they may have always wanted to know or stuff like that, and finding out ways that we can all work together. Because I'm a big fan of collaboration. I believe a rising tide lifts all ships.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, it's not. I'm out there trying to make mine, and good luck getting your own. No, I'm going to work with people so we can all do it. That's how I like to do things. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This was awesome. Yeah, well, I'm going to hit you up again. I guarantee it. Well, especially after we run our first run through of the book club. That'll be great.
Absolutely. And when you guys go to do that Telegram chat, I've got Telegram. Let me know. Hit me the link, man. I'll pop in.
You just made everybody's day. I guarantee it. So
I mean, why wouldn't I? You guys are going to do a Telegram thing to talk about the book. I mean, shit, I can come in there for a few minutes when we talk about it. So.
And thanks for answering questions that I'm sure you've answered 100 times from other fans. So thank you.
I consider myself a storyteller. I'm very short of something to say. So,
thank you, sir. I'll close up and I'll be back with you here in just a sec. Thank you. Yeah, no worries. Well, guys, that was even better than could have been expected. I mean, Chris and Mel, they're salt of the earth type people. And what an incredible interview. Chris is absolutely an incredible storyteller. That was just, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had a bunch of new faces in here. In Chris's words, a rising tide floats all boats, and that's exactly what we do these things for. And it was an honor to be able to interview Chris, and thank you, Mel, as well, for setting it up for me, his wife. And guys, thank you for coming in and asking the questions, and we will do this again. Absolutely, we'll do this again. So thanks, guys. What more can I say? If you want to know, anybody who's new here, want to know more about what I do, toolmantim.co is the easiest way, or subscribe to the YouTube channel. But we'll leave it at that, guys. So I say it all the time. You guys could spend your time anywhere, and you choose to come and hang out with me in the workshop. So thank you. I'm honored. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.